welcome back to another installment of the Immersive Worlds Handbook video features. Today we are not in New York City, in Manhattan. We are in Las Vegas, Nevada, on the Strip, and I am at the world-famous New York Hotel and Casino, and I wanted to take an opportunity to stroll through the casino and to offer you some reflections on what we might call a theming complex. Theming complex would refer to the idea that the themed venue maintains thematic consistency both in the exterior, in its architectural features, and also in the interior, in both its architecture and its interior design. So we can see here on the outside many of the more iconic symbols of New York City have been represented here in terms of bridges and famous buildings and places probably that connote to people a sense of the charm and seduction of New York City. And New York is one of the few place-based casinos left on the Strip. Obviously, the Bellagio, the Venetian, Paris are some of the others that also bring to our mind the ideas of theming according to a city. And in the exterior, I think that New York has always been one of the more interesting themed casinos for me because they did a great job with the architecture. They give us variety and they give us that kind of visual pop that is not focused on representational architecture but more in lines with what we see in Disney with Main Street, with forced perspective, and also using symbols of architecture as opposed to realistic renditions, which critics have absolutely missed the point on when they have criticized the theming at places like New York. So let's go inside and take a look at the interior theming. So walking by the registration desk, we don't see maybe as much attention. There's a little bit of Art Deco, which I remember years ago staying in the rooms is present, and we get on the walls some murals and additional Art Deco. But probably from a perspective of theming, the murals and some of this theming isn't maybe as spectacular as it could be. So the interior of the casino, theming-wise, I think is pretty decent. One of the things I think, like Paris, that always bugged me a little bit about New York is the fact that they've really focused on, well, it just really isn't large enough in terms of supporting the kind of gaming operation that you might imagine. So it's lacking in space. So we can actually see they have recreated very perhaps not authentically, but they've created many additional buildings that sort of feature the New York skyline here inside the casino. And then up here we get a replica of one of the subway street signs in New York City, as well as some billboards atop some of the forced perspective buildings. So you'll notice that some of the interior of the New York actually doesn't follow the theme. They've maybe de-themed a little bit in terms of kind of this modern look that looks more like maybe what we'd see in City Center at the Aria. And as we continue through the casino, we see more examples here of the use of forced perspective. Years ago, I always thought this was one of the more charming areas of the casino, the way that they used the miniature buildings in forced perspective and the cobblestone street. This is purportedly a replica of Greenwich Village and tries to represent some of the places you might see there, quaint outside eateries and so forth. It's done in a style maybe different of how they do it at Paris. Years ago, there used to be smoking manhole covers that were also present. I don't quite see those anymore, but I often thought they did a pretty neat job here in terms of creating an iconic place for the guests to enjoy that replicates ever so slightly the ambiance of a place like Greenwich Village in New York. And as we prepare to exit the casino, you see an area here that really doesn't have a lot of theming to it. A lot of shops, and probably one of the most most crowded areas anywhere I could think of in Vegas. Always congestion, and really, you can see here people being knocked over. Really not a lot of attention to the theming itself. So let's run back outside and see what is happening with the theming there. And here back outside we can see another view of the New York skyline and the extensive theming that's been applied here at the New York. And again, for me, I think this is really one of the better vignettes of symbols and icons of architecture that we see on the Strip. It's a small casino inside, but on the exterior, I think it's one of the most effective that really, for me, connotes some of the best, or brings back in mind some of the best design practices that we saw in Disney theme parks along Main Street and so forth. Here we're on the exterior, and you see the Ellis Island kind of structure here. You see the dramatic Statue of Liberty. This is certainly one of the icons of the casino, and I think an aspect of New York that makes it fairly attractive to people. Looks like they're doing some reconstruction here with the water feature, maybe restorations. So we're back outside here wrapping up our look at theming at the New York, and I'm here at the base of the Statue of Liberty, and you can see the Manhattan roller coaster just to the rear behind the statue. And I think, overall, as I reflected on some of these discussions and vignettes of theming in the casino, I think it's in many ways an effective themed casino, but has some functionality issues in terms of pedestrian control and in terms of some of the consistency of the theming on the interior, Greenwich Village being the exception. The exterior, though, I think stands as one of the best examples of theming in a Strip casino as far as bringing people to the space and perhaps getting them to stay a bit.